discussed about DNA repair and different DNA damages. Now we will discuss about move ahead with the cell survival curve. Okay. Mm, okay. Yeah. So cell survival curve, as you all know, it's a log linear plot where the dose is plotted on a linear scale and the surviving fraction is plotted on a logarithmic scale in order to depict even minute changes. So, so what is the concept of clonogenic cells? They are called as primitive stem cells. Stem cells constitute only a small proportion of the cells within a tumor. Cells that have the capacity to maintain their number and at the same time producing cells that can differentiate and proliferate to replace the rest of the functional cell population. So different types of tissues. This is one concept, Mikhailovsky concept of cellular and tissue architecture. See, this is important from radiation sensitivity point of view. Now, can anyone tell me in this which are the most sensitive cells to radiation, stem cells or mature or differentiated cells? Which cells are more sensitive to radiation? Okay. Yes. Means okay, now we're getting different answers. Differentiated. Okay. Well, the answer is stem cells. Higher the proliferative capacity, more sensitive you are to radiation. Okay. And why is that so? Remember, radiation causes DNA damage. So, if cells with defective DNA, when attempts to multiply, results in cell. This is mitotic cell death, which is most common. There is another form of cell death, apoptotic cell death. I will discuss about that later. But remember, mitotic cell death is most common, and radiation causes this type of cell death usually. Okay, so all those cells who are known for multiplying are more sensitive to radiation. Correct. No, the explanation was for differentiate why differentiated are less sensitive. Okay, clonogenic assays or colony formation assays are the techniques described for detecting colony formation by tumor cells and thus for measuring cell survival. These assays detect stem cells by their ability to form colonies. Colony forming units or clonogenic cells that form colonies contain at least 50 cells. Why 50 cells? Representing 5 to 6 generation of proliferation and is chosen in order to exclude cells that have limited growth potential as a result of differentiation or having sublethally damaged by therapy. So basic idea is to remove cells from the tumor, place them in a defined growth environment and test their ability to produce a sizable colony. So now clonogenic assays counted. So this is what we discussed that day. What is surviving fraction? So clonogenic cell survival curve. To understand or make predictions about tumor response to therapy, to predict tumor growth delay, to predict tumor cure. So now this is a linear plot and this is a semi-log plot. Okay. Now here, if you see in the linear plot on the y-axis, even small changes, you won't be able to appreciate the differences. Here, small changes, you would be able to appreciate the differences. And look at the curve. It is much more simpler, a straight line. Much more easier to read compared to this. Advantages. Reasons for plotting survival curve on a log scale. Ionizations produced within cells by irradiation are distributed randomly. So the probability of survival decreasing geometrically with dose, that is cell survival after irradiation, is an exponential function of dose. A log scale allows us to see and compare effects at very low survivals. So this is a typical cell survival curve. Classical description of a cell survival curve. At low doses, there is a shoulder region like this. See, this is the shoulder where survival falls slowly with dose. Means once you are increasing the dose, survival is not for. But after beyond this point, if you increase the dose, the survival is falling. This is higher doses. Okay. And there is another survival curve. This is a straight line, which does not have a shoulder. Okay. So this is the difference between densely ionizing and sparsely ionizing. Okay. I'm going to ask a very basic question. What does shoulder represent? Why there is a shoulder here and why there is no shoulder here? Anybody else who wants to attempt? Yes, the okay. So what is happening in densely ionizing radiation? Uh, Dr. Dibanjan, you're saying that lethal damage is happening after the shoulder. But see, survival fraction is falling, though not at the rate at which it is falling after the shoulder, but still it is falling. That means some lethal damage is happening. So it is not entirely correct that lethal damage happens only after the shoulder. My question is why there is no shoulder in densely ionizing? What different mechanism is happening in sparsely ionizing that you see different survival curves? And the second question, which radiation is more sensitive, densely ionizing or sparsely ionizing? Is anyone attempting or shall I say? Okay. See, first of all, densely ionizing are more sensitive because the curve in the survival curve, the one to the left is more sensitive. Now, second of all, regarding the shoulder, as someone here rightly said, shoulder represents repair. Okay, sparsely ionizing radiation causes two types of damage. Causes damage in two ways. One, directly the photon hitting the DNA. Second, via radicals, which travel to DNA and cause damage. Correct? And for cell death, you need double strand DNA damage. Okay. The probability of the directly hitting is much less compared to probability via radicals. So radical damage is greater than direct damage for sparsely ionizing. Because these ion radicals or go to the DNA and cause damage. Okay. In direct, there is only one way which it goes and hits the DNA. Now, as we have discussed before, consider radicals like assassins hired to kill, and direct is you are killing yourself. Okay, so in sparsely ionizing, there is a potential for repair. Hence, at low doses, when less radicals are formed, they are repaired, most of them. Hence, less deaths. In case of direct densely ionizing, all radiations directly damage the DNA. Less scope of repair. Hence, no shoulder. Okay, hence more sensitive. Okay, understood? Others? Okay. So remember, by the first look of it, you should be able to say that when you see a survival curve, you should be able to say, yes, densely ionizing are more sensitive than sparsely ionizing. Second, sparsely ionizing shows shoulder or shows a repair phenomenon. These two things you should be able to say. Okay, now these are the terms DQ. This is a one model of explaining the cell survival curve. DQ is a dose below which there is no effect. So usually it represents the initial shoulder. So DQ is a dose below which there is no effect. Means this DQ represents the maximum permissible dose limits, which are defined by various regulatory bodies for safe radiation. Okay, a very important question, not related to this, but it is maximum permissible dose. It was asked in my MD exam in radio bio. Maximum permissible dose. You guys know what is this maximum permissible dose? This was asked for 10 marks. No, it's a 10-mark question, maximum permissible dose. So basically, these are the different dose limits by ARB, by NCRP, and other regulatory bodies, which you know what is a TLD, right? TLD measures basic the your dose exposure, and it should not exceed a limit. That limit is defined as maximum permissible dose, and it is defined differently for different people. For radiation workers, it is different. For normal public, it is different. For different body parts, like for eyes, it is different. For hands, skin, and extremities, it is different. So it is given in terms of per year and average over 5 years. So it is roughly around 10 to 20 millisievert. 10 to 20 millisievert usually, and 100 millisievert for extremities and hands. For pregnant ladies, it is less than 1 millisievert. So means roughly, I means exactly, you can get this. This is very important question. In fact, this question came to me twice, once during the exam and once during the viva. And that time I did not know the answer. This you can ask your physicist. They know this by heart. Okay. Now, so D1 and D0. D1 is the cell kill or event during the shoulder, and D0 is during multiple tracks or the final slope. Okay. Interpretation of a cell survival curve. Cell survival curves for most mammalian cells exposed to low LET radiation shows some curvature. Shoulder is the initial low dose region in which there is less cell inactivation per unit dose than at high doses. Often the higher dose region tends towards a straight line. D0 can then be used to characterize the radiosensitivity in this region of the curve. N is the extrapolation number, which is the width of the shoulder. In the shoulder region of the curve, the proportion of cells killed by a given dose increases with the dose already given. Two interpretations are possible. Cell death results from accumulation of events that are individually incapable of killing the cells, but which become lethal when added together. Lesions are individually repairable, but become irreparable and kill the cell if the efficiency of enzymatic repair mechanism diminishes with number of lesions and therefore the dose. So these are the different models of the cell survival curve: target theory, non-exponential cell kill, LQ model, two-component model, repair saturation model, lethal, potentially lethal model. Of this, LQ model is the most important. You need not know the others. You can just know the names. Okay. Usually the question is enumerate various models of cell survival. Describe LQ model in detail. If they are asking any other model, the examiner is playing with you. So what are the targets? Specific regions of the DNA that are important to maintain the reproductive ability of cells and therefore survival of a cell after radiation or genotoxic agent exposure. Two assumptions. One hit by radiation on a single sensitive target would lead to death of the cell. Each cell contains several targets. Cell dies if all targets are hit by radiation but survives even if any one target is left unhit. Multi-target single hit. So single target, single hit survival curve, probability of cell survival, probability that cell is not hit. No shoulder, survival decreases exponentially with dose. D0, dose required to produce an average of one hit per target and measure of sensitivity of cell. Each increment of dose is equally effective. Seen in viruses and bacteria or very sensitive human cells, a response to high LED radiation. Implications. No accumulation of sublethal radiation damage. Every hit is lethal and every hit is independent. No effect of fractionation, no effect of protracting the dose. Multi-target single hit survival curve. The survival curve begins with initial slope 0 because the probability that all targets are hit is 0 at very low dose. Then it curves, then it becomes exponential at high doses because only one hit that target remains in each cell. Okay, so survival of each target is given by e raised to exponential of d by d0. Death of each target will obviously will be 1 minus e raised to d by d0. Okay. Limitations of target theory. Absence of experimental data to support the target theory. Specific radiation targets still not identified in mammalian cells. Models with non-exponential cell killing but with a finite initial slope. LQ model and two-component model. Very, very important LQ model from exam point of view. Originally called the theory of dual radiation action by Keller and Rossi in describing high versus low LED radiation based on the microdosimetry of energy deposition in the tissue. Biological model of radiation action by Leah and Catside based on mechanistic analysis of chromosomal aberration including induced in Trichantia spores. LQ survival curve. So single target, two hits. Initial component for which survival falls exponentially with dose. Later component for which survival falls with square of the dose. Several different theoretical bases have been used to justify these curves. Shapes of dose response curve for induction of chromosome damage, models considering non-repairable and repairable damage, and models considering one hit and two hit damage. Basic lesion which is responsible for radiation induced cell death is the dicentric exchange type chromosomal aberration. Equal dose fractions are equally effective independent of the preceding or following dose fractions. Complete repair between two fractions. So what it says is basically either a photon is directly hitting and causing the damage, double damage, or this dicentric aberrations, or there are two independent photons, one coming from here and one coming from here. Okay, when it causes direct, it is directly proportional to the dose, but when it comes from two damages, it is proportional to the square of the dose. So the total cell kill is the sum of this effect and this effect. This gives rise to the linear component and this gives rise to the quadratic component. Okay, tell me the scope of repair is higher with which one, linear or quadratic? Scope of radiation sensitivity or cell kill is higher with which one? Yes, and scope of repair? Correct. So that is why it is proportional to the square of the dose. And this is this because of this model, the curve fits. See, basically what happened, they first saw the cell survival curve. When they saw the shapes, then they started fitting various models to the curve. Okay, and they found LQ model fits the best. Okay, though it is linear quadratic relation, it is this curve is more of quadratic linear. Initially, when low doses, only the doses which are able to cause the double damage is able to kill. Rest all damages is resulting in repair. As the dose increases, this is directly proportional, so it goes on, and the square of the dose is happening, which is causing the DNA damage, and that is why we are getting a linear quadratic model. So the linear damage is type A damage and the quadratic damage is type B damage or beta damage. Single track of radiation causes DNA damage to two chromosomal sites, which then misrepair to form an exchange type aberration. The aberration yield will be linear with the dose and be independent of dose fractionation. So alpha is single hit mechanism, irreparable damage, no fractionation benefit. Beta damage. Two independent tracks of radiation produce two DNA damage sites, which subsequently interact to form an aberration. Then the yield will vary as the dose is squared, will depend upon fractionation because the first damaged site will have time for repair before the second one is formed. Interaction of sublesion repairable damage leads to fractionation benefit. So type A damage, type B damage, always lethal, not always lethal. Amount of damage is always proportional to the dose. For instantaneous exposures, the amount of damage is always proportional to the square of the dose. Amount of damage is independent of dose rate and exposure time, and amount of damage is additionally dependent on dose rate and exposure time. For any given dose, as exposure time increases, the amount of type B damage is reduced. Okay, so alpha and beta damage. This gives rise to your alpha by beta ratios. Okay. Now, tell me what is the alpha by, I would prefer if any the junior most residents in the group answer this. Alpha by beta, what is the alpha by beta for tumors it is usually taken considered? And for normal tissues? And for normal tissues? Yes. For normal, it is taken as 3. So this ratio, alpha by beta, alpha represents radiation sensitivity, and beta represents repair. So higher the alpha by beta, higher the sensitivity, and lower the alpha by beta, higher the repair. Okay, remember this. So normal tissues have a higher repair mechanism, and that's why they are considered as 3, and tumor tissues are considered as more sensitive, that's why they are considered as 10. So this is what linear quadratic model implications. Any dose of radiation, no matter how small, has a finite chance of killing a cell. That effect is alpha d plus beta d square. So surviving fraction is this exponential. So the dose at which the cell kill due to direct damage and the square of damage is equal is the ratio of alpha by beta. At d, alpha by beta, damage from linear killing is equal to damage from quadratic killing. Equal amounts of 1 hit or 2 hit damage or non-repairable and repairable damage. Ratio defines curviness of survival curve. Ratio has been used to predict compare effects of different fractionated regimens. See, this ratio in itself has no meaning. Okay, if I say spinal cord has alpha by beta ratio of 1.7, okay, now if I say skin has alpha by beta ratio of 6, now you can deduce that yes, spinal cord is more radiation sensitive than skin. Sorry, skin is more radiation sensitive, repair mechanism is higher in the spinal cord. So if we give radiation, early skin change is gonna be there, late effects can be seen. Skin early effects will be seen with the in the skin, late effects can be seen in the cord. So all this, so alpha by beta ratio in itself has no meaning. But if you compare with alpha by beta of another tissue, you will get lots of information. And it will help you decide what type of radiation you want to use. Understood this? Okay. Now, one second. So what are the let me finish this. Yeah. What are the implications? Different responses of fractionated radiation regimens in early and late responding tissues. Fraction size, most important parameter in determining different regimens. Different responses to protracted irradiation regimens in early and late responding tissues. Different responses to alterations in early and late responding tissues. Tumors are assumed to act like early responding normal tissues. Significance. A high ratio implies greater component of irreparable damage, example tumor cells. A low ratio implies greater component of repairable damage, seen in cells with high repair potential. Thus, difference in the alpha by beta ratio of tissues explains the radiobiological advantage and the rationale for the use of fractionated radiation. Okay, now okay, survival curves with different. Okay, here Can anyone explain these two survival curves? You can type. Remember what I had said, tumor and early responding tissues have higher alpha by beta and late responding tissues have low alpha by beta. But here, as per this, late responding tissues are more sensitive compared to tumor, correct? Can anyone explain these curves?
So that early, like less dose, the for the early responding tissues, the surviving fraction for the same dose is less, and for
Hmm.
the late responding tissues, it is the surviving fraction is more. But as the dose increases, the surviving fraction for early responding tissues is uh, is less is more, and of late responding tissue, the surviving fraction is less.
And why is that?
There is more damage to late responding tissues at higher dose than at lower dose due to less alpha by beta. So,
Oh, okay.
ex-
No, no. Late responding tissues. Okay. See, late responding tissues have a lower alpha by beta, and early responding tissues and tumor have a higher alpha by beta. Okay. So this signifies one thing. They early responding tissues and tumors have high radiation cell kill and less repair. And late responding tissues have more repair. Okay. Now at lower doses, since where repair predominates, okay, at more lower doses where repair predominates, the surviving fraction is higher for late tissues compared to early tissues because repair predominates at lower doses. Okay, but as dose increases, the cell kill starts predominating. Okay, because of accumulation of previous events, previous damages. Okay, the cell kill predominates at higher doses because it is proportional to the square of the dose. Here, the direct damage is greater, which is proportional to the dose. So it is following a straight line. And it is here, it is bending. So at higher doses, you will see more effects. Samjha?
yes, sir.
Okay. Early responding tissues marked initial slope, bends at higher doses, flatter survival curve over a range of clinical fractions, multi-hit damage. See, this early responding tissues, the damage is happening. So it is still, if you see, if you magnify this part, you will see it like this, correct? If you magnify the shoulder, it is still in the shoulder region. So acute responding tissues, alpha by beta is high, late is low. Dose response curve is steep. Late responding, it is shallow. ISO effect curve is shallow, ISO effect is steep. Dose fractionation less sensitive, marked sparing. So if you keep the dose fractionation low, more repair. But if you increase the dose per fraction, more cell kill will happen and late reactions are higher. Okay. And that is the reason why in palliative you go for hypofractionations, because the patient is not going to survive to see the late effects. Okay. This is the table which shows different alpha by beta values for different tissues. Okay, and various tumors. Okay, see, melanoma and liposarcoma has an alpha by beta value of 0.6 or 0.4. So that is why in these cases radiation might not be that effective. So the linear quadratic survival curve accurately describes survival of the critical cells, fails at very low doses and high doses. All cells in the critical cell population have identical sensitivity. One cell population is critical, there are no effects from injury to other cell populations. No changes in environment that alter cellular responses, no proliferation, full repair of sublethal damage, no repair of radiation damage in the dose region defined by linear part of the survival curve. I'm not going into these models, LPL repair saturation. To summarize, survival curve models have evolved increasingly along mechanistic lines. In general, target theory models have been superseded by LQ based mechanistic models. All models are basically exponential functions of dose and therefore reflect random hits by tracks of sensitive targets. LQ model appears to be explained by repair, misrepair, repair saturation pathways. LQ model lends itself well to the modeling of fractionated radiation. Okay, so then in the next session, we'll discuss the factors affecting cell curve. Any doubts, any issues, anything you did not understand? Okay, thank you all.
Thank you so much, sir.